Afternoon, boys. It's Dr. Infinity, and
Well, come on, men. 3 cheers for her grace. Hip, hip.
Hooray! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
this week I'm going to be talking about this documentary. It's by David Sutherland, no relation to Donald Sutherland, but it's called Country Boys, and it's from 2006, and it focuses on these two young men. They're about to become adults. They're Chris and Cody, and we are in David, Kentucky. And this really just focuses on rural poverty in Kentucky. It focuses on their lives and as they're kind of stepping into adulthood. This is a longer documentary. It's about 6 hours, and I thought it was an interesting watch overall, but I would say if you're looking for something for a similar feel and you don't want to put like 6 hours in, I'd recommend Rich Hill. It is free to watch online. So is this. You can find Country Boys on PBS, but you can find Rich Hill on Tubi TV, and that's only an hour and a half. And if you're kind of looking for something that's a documentary and it's about rural poverty, Rich Hill might be where you want to go, and I have a little review on that as well. This documentary, it focuses on this school called the David School, which is kind of a not special needs school, but this is not a public school, and it's more for unique cases of, I guess, like poverty in the Appalachians, because we are in eastern Kentucky. Chris and Cody are two kids that have had pretty rough lives. The documentary is split up into 3 parts. Each part's about 2 hours. I'm just going to go part by part rather than just following one of our characters the entire time. Cody is kind of I don't know the best way to describe him, sort of like a punk guy, or he kind of acts out a bit with like piercings in his hair, and like I'm not like big on it, but like he has a pretty fucked up story where he's being raised by his grandma. Cody's dad ended up walking into a strip club where his birth mother worked as a stripper. And then his dad pulled out a AK-47, killed his stepmother, and then shot himself. So Cody is a bit screwed up. Is like, holy shit, Cody's had a pretty rough life. And Chris is our other boy who, while he does have both of his parents, they're like useless or more detrimental, than helpful, actually. Where he doesn't respect his father, he doesn't want to be like him, and his mother is also like kind of just, she looks out for herself, right? Does that make sense? And Chris is kind of left taking care of his younger siblings, like his younger sibling Amy. He doesn't act out like appearance wise, kind of like Cody does, but he he expresses himself with this character he's created called Xavier, right? And he's kind of this warrior guy that kind of can beat all of his problems with the sword. And I thought that was interesting, I kind of liked that. He's an interesting guy as well.
I created my own personal hero. Xavier is a character with great power, strength, intelligence, bravery, not afraid to take on the odds. I used this character to keep my problems and my anger under control.
And the documentary is just kind of focusing on them as they're kind of just finishing high school, and just where they're going to go with their lives afterwards. So Cody has a girlfriend called Jessica, right? And I like Jessica, I like Jessica's parents. We have Ray and then her mom, and they're just, while Cody does have like his grandmother who he lives with, he has like a father figure in Ray. He has a mother, more like a mother figure in Jessica's mom. And I think this is like insanely helpful for him, and this really helps him kind of not be too screwed up, because he has like a solid network here. He has the solid network while Chris does have a family. They don't provide the same support that, Ray does. I really liked Ray quite a bit. Chris kind of, not like weaselly, but he does kind of not like to take responsibility, which is kind of something he gets from his mom and dad, and you can see that where he kind of brings up wanting to start a school newspaper, but he doesn't really want to put the work in for it. Oh, Chris, he doesn't end up going to school on like the last few days because he keeps putting off working on the newspaper, hoping that everyone's going to just kind of forget about it. But, he's still stuck with it even after like winter break. And Chris has a friend called Jay, who Chris describes him as like illiterate. I thought he was just kind of like slow or like mentally retarded. He kind of gives off that vibe. But he's walking with Jay one evening, and Chris brings up like watching some anime. Like, what are they watching, boys? What are they watching? You know, are we watching Technolize? Yeah.
Maybe we just hang out tonight, watch a little anime or something, just something to do.
You want to root for both these kids. You want them both to be okay. You know, you want them both to have decent lives. It's sort of like Rich Hill in that, where it's just like, hope they fucking get together. I hope it's going to work out for them. You know, we get to see a bit more of Chris. He lives in like this trailer propped up on cinder blocks. Like his family have like a few little trailers put together. Oh my God, I love this part. I fucking love this part where they have a new trailer coming in, right? So Chris and his family, they have a new trailer coming in, so they're taking stuff out of their old trailers, okay? And underneath one of the trailers, they have this hog, and it's the fattest fucking hog I have ever seen. It's so fat. It's great. And they gotta drag him out of there. Oh, man, I love that shit. I really, really loved it.
That hog's a monster. Papa! Come on.
You know something, buddy? I'm tired of fooling with you.
Come on. Come on. You tie him up, Dad. I'll never get him.
I'm gonna
done.
get him out.
Slide a rope around his belly. Come on. Papa.
You eat me, I swear I'll eat you.
Christopher.
That's all I gotta say.
Hush. I'm nasty.
Oh. Okay. Get the rope, swing it over.
Demon, hush me. I'm trying to trick you.
Shit. Tricky.
Do it tight.
Oh, I'll get tight.
Tight. Tighten up.
I'm trying. Get pissed.
I'll beat the far out of you. I ain't a fooling with you, honey. I'm sick of it. Get out of there. I'm golden, big boy. You got Bobby man now.
Grab it.
A lot of the teachers really want like Chris and Cody to succeed. More of an emphasis on Chris, you know, because Cody doesn't like struggle as much. He does struggle in school, but Chris does a lot more so. And Chris kind of just like shifts the blame to his mom, and he's just like not willing to take responsibility. Not ideal, but you can kind of understand with kind of his upbringing and his parents and how they do it. Cody like performs like, I guess I'd call like Christian metal. I don't really know this genre of music, but he kind of performs like Christian metal, which is like metal without like cussing, and they also like love Jesus, which is like, it's whatever, you know, if it helps him, you know, be a better person, then go for it, I guess. It's kind of nice that he has these extra activities, you know, and he has his little support network. But that's kind of the end of part one. Part two, you know, we've started where school has started up again. Chris has wanted to start a choir, and you're kind of questioning, you know, how successful is this going to be compared to the newspaper, because he didn't really follow through with that. But he's still willing to try something, you know, that it's something, I guess. We have a little scene with Cody where he doesn't believe in evolution. That's based as fuck. Oh, God. Cody's got some good lines. Cody has some good lines in this documentary. He calls one of his friends a fag.
I think it'd be a bunch of crap if Jesus was a monkey. I didn't think any less of him, but I did think differently of him. And,
Made in Singapore, yay.
he goes, "Does this make you think any different of me?" I said, "Yeah, you're a fag."
Doesn't have how much space.
I said, "You're not the same person." I said, "I still like you, though." He said, "Okay."
Good news for Chris, where he has a successful like choir performance, you know, and like you're like, all right, you know, this is gonna go like well for Chris. But then his mom is moving out because she can't handle it, because Chris's father is an alcoholic. Apparently his mom has moved out in the past, you know, before, and it's, you know, it's hurt her, it's hurt them, and it's like, you're really leaving the kids, you know, for Chris to take care of, because your husband's a drunk. He's not going to take care of the kids. So now Chris has all this responsibility, and it's like one step forward, two steps back for him. You know, while Cody has like he's like gaining ground, you know, in terms of like getting his life back on track and like potentially being able to succeed. Oh yeah. More of a focus on Chris, where at Christmas he gets this sword, right? And it's kind of a Xavier sword, and I thought that was kind of neat. I liked that. He also works at Taco Bell because, he has to pay all the bills now. He has to run all the errands now. So while his mom can show up and give gifts at Christmas, she can't be there to help him with these things. So he's struggling with school and all this kind of stuff. Oh, one thing I did kind of notice where the audio can be kind of weird at times. Like, it kind of feels like they didn't get like a good take or something. So then they'll just kind of put in like sound bits of like stuff characters have said in the past, but they don't like have a recording of like exactly what they say at that moment. So they kind of fill it in. It's sort of weird. I don't know if documentaries in general do this type of stuff. Anyways, Chris gets in a little trouble, or well, it could have been like a lot more serious, where some girls like claiming that she was out with Chris and like they kind of did some drugs together, and there's that, and like his mom is there in the office to scold him, but she's not there at home. She's not there where he actually like really needs her, and he might lose it, but and like his eligibility at school's in question, but like it works out. And, he ends up, like, dating a girl by the end. They marry, and that's nice. We don't see her in part 3. Spoiler alert. Struggling because by the end of it, he has this job at, like, Little Caesars. But, he's just bouncing around from minimum wage job to minimum wage job and probably not going to finish school. You know what I mean? He's probably not going to finish school. And there's not too much going off Cody right now. There's not, like, too much, I guess, because most, like, the drama and stuff is going on with Chris. Like, potentially, like, he's supposed to have some inheritance money from when, like, after his dad's murder-suicide, some money set aside from him, and then, like, some of his family was supposed to look after it for him, and now there's some question if they were actually doing that for him, but not too much is going on. Part 3. Chris has dropped out for a Little Caesars job, but he has now lost that job because his car is broken down. It's just like, fucking Christ, man. Jesus Christ. The people at the school, like, they genuinely care about Chris because, like, they put him up in the small apartment in town because they know, like, how bad his home life is. And it's nice that he has this little apartment, and it's this big step forward. He talks about Xavier here, and obviously he's talking about himself, but I think, like, if it's a way for him to, like, kind of cope and express himself, then I think it's fine. What else is he really supposed to do?
The young warrior stood with his sword ready to attack, yet Xavier had no idea where he was. He had been alone all his life, yet all he wanted to do was leave.
Cody's still doing stuff with like the band and everything, where he tells his life story to this crowd of people, and we get some more information where apparently he tried to have an overdose when he was younger.
When I was 12 years old, my dad he went inside of a strip bar my stepmother worked at, and he shot her, and then he shot himself, and that kind of depressed me, put me into drugs, and kind of dabbled with a few different things, Satanism, witchcraft, and all that. And that's when I realized nothing really worked for me except for God. And this song is about that experience. And the last line is, otherwise I would put a bullet in my brain. I tried to overdose on pills. I usually don't tell this part of the story, but I tried to overdose on pills when I was 13. Nothing happened. The psychiatrist said if I didn't die, I was lucky I didn't come out crippled. I only think the band knows this part of the story, but glory be to God.
If we're stacking up the boys, it's Cody has Ray, Cody has Jessica's mom, Cody has Jessica, Cody has his grandma, Cody lives in a decent house with his grandma, and Chris lives in a cinder block trailer with an alcoholic dad and a mom who runs away whenever things get kind of tough, and he has to support everything, and of course he can't do it. Like, shit, man. Chris graduates with a GED. He doesn't, like, finish his studies exactly. He just gets a GED, and apparently he fails the ACT, which I didn't think was possible. I don't know how low of a score you need to fail that. So I just looked it up. He said he failed, but you can't actually fail it. I think he just scored so low that colleges weren't willing to accept him, right? Because he was looking at a college to get into, but he couldn't like get a high enough score on the ACT to get into that college. So that's really kind of shocking, or maybe it's not shocking, but like, how can you get a GED but like you also score so badly that you can't be accepted into a college. It's like, holy shit. So things are going bad for him, obviously. We have this nice scene with Cody asking Ray to play at the David School, and it's just good. It's good that Cody has someone like that. Oh, and Cody graduates, and he is valedictorian. Out of 7 graduates, of course, but still, he's the best of 7. He's our guy. He's the best of 7. And Chris, like, things keep, like, slipping for him, where, like, his family's trailer is being repoed, and he's helping his grandmother move to, like, Florida, but he's hoping to end up staying with his mother. That might not happen. And then, the after fact, the follow-up, once the documentary's over, is Cody and Jessica have married, and they both attend college, and I'm like, that's fucking great, good for both of them, right? And Chris is now back in Kentucky, and he lives with Jay. Jay's the kind of more illiterate guy that most definitely is like some form of like mentally retarded. I don't say that to be mean. I'm just stating that he's slow, right? And he's now working a series of low-wage jobs. So it's sort of like Rich Hill, where you feel like 1 or 2 of the kids might make it, but you can sort of just feel that, these kids, they're not going to be okay. They're probably going to be stuck in minimum wage, and they're just going to continue like the cycle of poverty kind of thing. So it was sad, but it was good. It's not like a favorite or whatever, but I did think like, yeah, stuff like this I think is like an interesting look and like more of like white poverty and that, and kind of just showing a focus on it. I don't really know what the solution is. It's not more government money. It's not that shit. But it's just like, fuck, man. Like, you just wish these people would take care of their lives so that their children can have decent lives, but that's not really a big focus for them, Oh, recently I just like ran a gauntlet on like rural crime movies, and I didn't want to like make videos on them because they were all just like okay to like bad. There are movies, some of them I thought were like better okay, and then stuff that I thought was like pretty bad, and I just didn't want to like bother people with like a bunch of videos where like, hey guys, here's some movies that I don't recommend. I'll start with like kind of the stuff I thought was like decent. So The Straight Story is a documentary. It's about the journey, not the destination movie, where this guy is riding his mower across a few states to meet up with his estranged brother, because they're both kind of on their last legs and they want to kind of talk before they die. So I thought it was decent. Not exactly my cup of tea, but like it wasn't like a bad movie, right? Killer Joe. Killer Joe is this movie where Matthew McConaughey is hired as a hitman, and he forces a woman to suck on a like a chicken drumstick and simulate a blowjob. So there's that. It was not a good movie. There's Joe with Nicolas Cage, where he's kind of an average Joe, but he looks after this boy who's dealing with an alcoholic father. That one was okay. Like that one, Straight Story. Oh, Out of the Furnace. That's one where it felt like Deer Hunter bait. Like it felt like it was trying to like mimic Deer Hunter, but this is a much worse movie than Deer Hunter. And it was just meh. I would just call it like really meh. Like kind of just not great performances overall. But that one's like a small town where the younger brother, he gets involved in like underground fights after being like a veteran in Iraq. And this one has Woody Harrelson forcing a woman to simulate a blowjob with a hot dog, I don't know why. It's just weird for me. We have Killer Joe and we have this, and I wasn't seeking it out, but it was there, right? Place Beyond the Pines I thought was okay, kind of artsy and ambitious, and I'm not sure it exactly all fits together correctly, but okay. Riverhead, that was more on the higher end of like decent stuff, where this is about like part of Canada or like Nova Scotia or kind of around there. Maybe it's Greenland, right? But it's a slower movie where it's a small town. There's a tension between like these that has been brewing like over the years, but now it's like kind of flaring up again between like residents that live over here, residents that live over there. Like some are Irish. I don't know exactly what the others are, if they're like Norwegian, but that was decent. Affliction, 1997. That was not a great movie. It had some decent moving parts, but like I didn't love it. It was not a favorite of mine. I don't know if I should make like community posts where I just like, hey guys, here's a list of shit I checked out that's like I didn't think was like good enough to like make a whole video on. Like here's like 5 like kind of bad rural crime movies, or like 5 that are decent to bad, right? I'm probably gonna have a book review this weekend, and next weekend, I'm kind of looking forward to knocking out some more movies, that I have on my watch list. Some people have recommended a few TV shows I'm probably going to check out as well, so it might be like a TV show and like a movie. Anyways, thanks for watching. Dr. Infinity out.